No, I don't think at all. And I think that when Al-Qaeda and when the GSPC joined Al-Qaeda, the central Al-Qaeda of Osama bin Laden, we had already, not only in Algeria but also in Iraq, what I call the self-recruitment. Al-Qaeda, the central Al-Qaeda of Osama bin Laden, never tried to recruit other groups such as Al-Tawheed wal-Jihad of Abu Mus'ab al-Zarqawi in Iraq or the GSPC in Algeria. But those two groups recruited themselves, asked Osama bin Laden publicly to join his group, and then Osama bin Laden accepted in the case of Iraq in 2004 and in the case of Algeria in 2007. Then from this moment, I don't think that Al-Qaeda, Central Al-Qaeda, affected or helped the GSPC or Al-Qaeda in Algeria by anything. As our colleague in London said, we had already a history, long history of militancy from the Islamic Armed Group and the GSPC and then Al-Qaeda in Algeria from the beginning of 90s. And the Al-Qaeda now in Algeria trying to use this experience, this history, to make its new phase of violence. Al-Qaeda only affected by one tactic which never existed in Algeria before, which is the suicide bombing. Suicide bombing never used in Algeria, only once, but it was already, printed from Al-Qaeda in Iraq exactly, and then using by Al-Qaeda in Algeria by frequent way. Okay. Out of this tactic, I don't think that Al-Qaeda helped it. And we have only one remark is important. When we are speaking about Al-Qaeda in Islamic Maghreb, we are speaking only about Al-Qaeda in Algeria. And it's one of the failures of Al-Qaeda, because Al-Qaeda in Algeria stayed Al-Qaeda in Algeria. They could not till today extend their activities out of their place of birth, which is Algeria, despite all this propaganda that they are representing all the Islamic Maghreb.
Okay, let me bring you back Mustafa Al-Halfi in Rabat. I mean, are we seeing more Al-Qaeda activity across North Africa just because Al-Qaeda is under increasing pressure in Iraq and in Afghanistan?
In reality, Al-Qaeda now is a local organization within Algeria. In terms of their message declaration, they are targeting Moroccan governments, Mauritania, Tunisia, Libya. But in reality, until now, they limit their activity within Algeria. They can't do it outside. They didn't succeed in do it in the past, and until now they can't. This gives us an evidence that the link with Al-Qaeda is in terms of propaganda, in terms of shifting their strategy from local government to bring in US targets into the strategy, but in terms of operation, tactics, weapons, training, they are using their own resources. And this gives us also an evidence or a question why the Algerian government couldn't succeed in defeating this group. I can give some elements to answer to this question. The first element, that Al-Qaeda now is using some willingness within youth people within Algeria and even in Morocco to go to Iraq, and they present themselves as a first phase or first step. If you are looking to go to Iraq, work with us. And this gives some human resources to Al-Qaeda. It's an element, very important element. A second element, that the Algerian branch of Al-Qaeda in reality is trying to exploit some political instability within Algeria, changing governments, changing names.
Mustafa Al-Halfi, sorry, let me just interrupt you there because I want to just expand it because we're running out of time. I just want to bring him back, Mohammed Zitout, for a second and just talk about the US involvement in this whole scenario. I mean, we've seen the US try to contain the spread of terrorism across North Africa by setting up what they call the Trans-Sahara Counter-Terrorism Initiative. I mean, do these bombings show that perhaps those efforts, those policies have failed?
No, no at all. That it will exactly work for the American strategic goals, the American strategic aims in the area, in the Sahel area. There is a huge battle for the oil and gas everywhere in the world, and particularly in our area where the states are failed states, Algeria, Libya, where there is no democracy, there is no liberty, there is no freedom, and therefore these states are failed states. And the Americans, they know that the weakest link, if you want, is these states: Sudan, Chad, Libya, Algeria, and Mauritania. And this band, this area, the Sahel area, is one of the richest area. I will call it probably the second Gulf. And in the next 10, 20 years, it will be probably the most important area in the world. I'm talking here about oil, gas, phosphates, gold, and all these mineral things. This is very important. And the battle now is a strategical battle between all these big powers, be it Russia, India, China, France, and Europe, America. And the battle will be on the weakest area, and the weakest area is this area. Therefore, where there is gas and oil, in the next few years, we will see Al-Qaeda, even genuine one, or a forged one, or fake one.
All right, I want to just bring in for a final thought Dia Rashwan there in Cairo. I mean, some experts say that these new Al-Qaeda-inspired fighters, like from the GSPC, represent a new breed of global jihadists. I mean, how much of a challenge will they be for regional and Western governments, do you think?
I think it's depending the local situation in every country. As we already said, and me and our colleagues, that in Algeria we have a good context to see a very active branch of Al-Qaeda, of the new jihadists in this area. But it is not the case in Tunisia, for example, or in Morocco. And then the situation is repeating in other places around the world. If we see, for example, the Saudi Arabia and the existence, the heavy and very strong existence of Al-Qaeda from 2003 till 2005, and to compare it now with the weakness of Al-Qaeda, there we can see that the jihadism or the new jihadists could achieve some success in some places, but not for a long time. This is the case also of Egypt. Egypt is the biggest Arab country, but till today and in the last 7 years, we didn't see real jihadists or new jihadists in Egypt. Then we have in every country around the Arab world and even in the Western countries some conditions which can push the existence of those new jihadists. And this is the case of Algeria. This is the danger of Algeria today, that Algeria is the sole Arab country in which we can have these suitable conditions for the new jihadists and for also the old jihadists, such as the GSPC or the Islamic Army Group, to renew their presence and existence under the banner and under the title of International Al-Qaeda.
Okay, gentlemen, we have to leave it there. Dia Rashwan in Cairo, Mohammed Al-Arabi Zitout in London, and Mustafa El-Halfi in Rabat. Thank you all very much indeed for your time. And thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of Inside Story. We, of course, welcome your comments and your suggestions. Please email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. From the whole team here, goodbye for now.